When working with assessment, teachers often have questions about how do I make choices to have balanced assessment or effective assessments in my classroom. Grant Wiggins, Benna Kalick, and many other professionals have worked together, and one of the solutions to that question ends up being in what we call target to method alignment. And Rick Stiggins actually came up with a chart that shows this target to method alignment and guides us on how to make choices so that we're getting the best possible information we can from our assessment. The 4 targets that are represented in the chart focus on knowledge, maybe it's reasoning or the thinking, the skills that a child might be doing, or a product that would be created. And so the first step is for us to look at the skills in our unit plan and say, of these skills, how does that align to the targets? What am I going for knowledge? Are all of these identify maybe DOK level 1 items? Or is this more about the demonstration of a skill? Is this where they have to demonstrate, show? Okay, something like a DOK 2 item. Once a teacher has successfully looked at the target and the clarity of the target and the type of target, they can look at the top of the chart and think about method of assessment. So method of assessments such as selected response. The first item there, selected response, includes short answers, true false, matching, fill in the blank, and multiple choice items. So think of a stereotypical test where we have multiple kinds of questions asking the child to play through information. These are fantastic for finding out knowledge. Okay, DOK level 1 items. This is a good match. But it's not as successful at finding out if a child can actually do a skill. So for example, you could give me a test on how to play the flute, and I could name the parts of the flute, and I could match which areas of the flute make which kinds of sounds, and I might be able to pass a knowledge-based test on the flute, but that doesn't mean I can get up and actually play the flute effectively. The second method would be an essay. So an essay here is really saying that the child is writing an essay. Picture a multi-draft essay, something where it's either a narrative or an informational or an argument. And they actually are playing out their reasoning, playing out their thinking. The quality of what is in the essay is going to be clear here. Performance task comes in 3 types. I can have a performance task of reasoning, which is where the child will actually perform the thinking in front of me. So I might say, I'd like you to explain how you're going to go about solving that math problem. I don't want you to actually give me the solution. I don't want you to solve it in pursuit of the computation. I want you to give me your thinking. So that's a performance task of the reasoning. I can have a performance task of a skill. That's where the child might actually, or they might write a paragraph right in front of me, or they might solve a math problem on the board, or they might make an engine work. So that's a performance task of a skill. They actually get up and play the flute on the stage. I can have a performance task of a product. So this might be where we would say, the task is to build a bench. Okay, I don't want you to list for me the parts and give me knowledge. I don't want you to explain to me how you're going to do it, which is your reasoning. And I don't actually have to watch you do it, which would be the performance of the skill. I just want on Friday for a bench to be here so that we can look at it and talk about the quality. So that's a performance task of a product. So in that sense, the performance task is strong. It can be any one of those types or a combination, which means an assessment can actually fall into multiple categories. Take an essay on environmentalism, for example. That essay on environmentalism, let's say it's an informational essay. Well, it's evidence of the category essay and reasoning because it's actually showing me good evidence of does the child actually understand environmentalism? Can they think it through and make an opinion? It's also high quality data on the knowledge. Did the child use the vocabulary correctly? What that does is it allows a teacher to say, I'm going to design this assessment and I got to think about the rubric. For example, the rubric should have some criteria for the knowledge pieces. and some criteria for the reasoning pieces. And finally, the last part of the method to target alignment is found in that personal communication section. And what we see here is personal communication can include anything from conferencing with a learner, interviewing a learner, journal writing, reflection writing. This is where the child is actually walking you through or responding to the material directly. Balanced assessment means we've been thoughtful about which methods we want to use to get evidence of which targets. What we find is some methods are just not effective at getting high quality data. For example, the selected response category giving us evidence of the reasoning. I can write problems that are designed to give me evidence of the reasoning. I've had PD sessions on that, but they take a lot of effort to write. This is where I might make a multiple choice question, and several of the answers are designed that if the child were to select it, it tells me where they are in their thinking, and so I can diagnose how strong they are in the material or where the exact part of their misinformation might be. These are wonderful questions to have. But technically, what if the child just guessed? Then that information is suspect. So not only does it take more energy for a teacher to write these items, but the data that I get is still challengeable. So using this chart, a teacher can be sophisticated in their options. I'm going to use this method to get evidence of this target. No one method gets all 4 targets. And so this is what we mean when we say balanced assessment. I'm going to have some kind of combination of method to make sure I'm reaching all 4 targets.